Scandinavian Bob here, hi. Today we are going to talk about NoFap and dopamine, and during the video you will discover why men who really take NoFap seriously have an edge over other men. So really try to focus now for the whole video, because this will make your jaw drop. And it might seriously change your life. Okay, so dopamine is a very important neurotransmitter and you shouldn't be afraid of it. In fact, it is vital for survival, and not only that, it is vital for your success in life as well. What you should be afraid of is elevating it to super high levels in an unnatural way. And I'll talk more about this in just a second. You see, dopamine is so important because it is responsible for getting you motivated to do things that will help you survive and to carry your DNA to the next generation. And this is also why dopamine is involved in you achieving your goals and climbing up in status. Because, well, that also helps you with survival and reproduction. Yes, indeed, dopamine is so incredibly important for your drive and for you achieving things in life that, well, listen to this. Scientists decided to do an experiment to find out what happened if they took a few rats and depleted all the dopamine from the little rat brains. Well, normally the rats would run around the cage chasing food, they would have sex, they would exercise in the rat wheels, and perhaps running around and biting and scratching each other. You know, all the normal rat business. But when they depleted all the dopamine, the rats stopped doing this. I mean, they stopped everything. They didn't even eat. And listen to this, if the researchers put food directly into the rat's mouth, then the rats would eat. But if they put the food just a couple of inches in front of the rat would not go for the food. In fact, they starved to death, and this is because without dopamine, they had also lost all their motivation. Okay, so let's take a look at John. John is a 25-year-old male who is using a lot of online adult entertainment. Now, as soon as John opens an adult website, the reward system thinks that what's going on the screen is a real opportunity for sex, and thus the dopamine levels shoot up. This also happens during real sex, and so far so good. But here comes the deal. What happens during real sex is that the dopamine levels start to come back down after a while. And this is normal. This is the way it's supposed to be. This also happens with adult entertainment. The dopamine wants to come back down after a little while. However, unlike real sex, here you can override that natural satiation mechanism by clicking to a new clip. And so the dopamine shoots back up again. But then that new clip becomes boring after 30 or 40 seconds or so, and the dopamine starts to drop back down again. And so you see another video under the one you are currently watching, and so you click on that one. And you keep this going, clicking from video to video, sometimes for a very long time, perhaps hours at end. And by doing this, you are overriding your brain's natural satiation mechanism. And here's where it gets scary, so listen up now. When you override your natural satiation mechanism like that, your brain will start to protect itself from all the excessive dopamine. And it does so by killing off a few dopamine receptors. Now, in order for dopamine to be able to do its job, it has to bind to those receptors. And if you keep blasting your brain's reward system with adult sites on a regular basis, you will get fewer and fewer receptors. And this is what John has been doing for years, and now he is left with a dysfunctional dopamine system in his brain. Well, remember the rats and how they lost all their motivation? Well, John still has some dopamine since it's not possible to completely go down to zero. But his dopamine system is indeed functioning on a much lower level. So John has become a man with almost no motivation. And if he tries to set some goals for himself, he never managed to achieve them. He has basically become a young loser that can only muster up an enough energy to play video games, eat junk food, and jack off to adult sites. Oh man. And so now some of you say, okay, but come on, just because rats lose motivation from low dopamine, that does not have to mean people work the same way. Or does it? Oh yes, it does, because dopamine has the same function for us humans. Check this one out. In an experiment on a medical student, they decided to give him a drug that depleted his dopamine. And this is a quote from the result from that study. During increased dopamine depletion, in this case a range of subjective experience appeared and disappeared consecutively. These experiences resembled negative symptoms such as loss of motivation, dulled senses, lower mood, fatigue, brain fog, feelings of fear and shame, and anxiety and depressive symptoms. Unquote. Well, my friends, those are some of the most common symptoms we can face if we have a poor functioning dopamine system. And now that John understands all of this, he decides to start doing NoFap and stop using adult sites. And what's so cool about the brain is that when John stops blasting his reward system with supernormal stimuli, his brain will heal and all the receptors will grow back. Now, it may take several months before he gets there, but he keeps going, and since 99% of today's men are using adult sites on a regular basis, it won't take long before John gets an edge over the average man out there. And he has a much higher chance of achieving his goals compared to other men. Yes, indeed, since NoFap also significantly increases energy, John channels that energy into his goals. And now, having done NoFap for a good amount of time, he now also have plenty of healthy dopamine receptors in his brain, so he will become a goal-achieving beast. And this is why people who are doing NoFap will win at life. So if you think your dopamine system is compromised by all the adult entertainment you have been using, start taking NoFap more seriously today. And also do physical exercise, take cold showers, meditate, stay healthy. All those things will all help speed up your recovery. But the main thing for you is, of course, to stay away from relapses and keep doing NoFap. Now, if you are interested in something that could potentially help you get the benefits faster, since it will raise both your dopamine and testosterone at the same time, then take a look at another video I made a while back where I talk about something I personally use to optimize my own dopamine and testosterone levels. By the way, it won't increase your dopamine to unnatural high levels, so it will not knock out your dopamine receptors. In fact, did you know that high levels of testosterone actually promotes growth of new dopamine receptors? Yes, that's right. So it may potentially help your rebooting. Anyway, you can see that video on the screen right here. Just click on that and it'll take you there. Alright, this is Scandinavian Bob signing out for today. Consider subscribing for more helpful videos, and remember, as Winston Churchill used to say, if you're going through hell, keep going.